Hey everyone, welcome back. This week we're going to be making the map from World of Warcraft. Now Turi and I have never played World of Warcraft before, so we have no frame of reference of what this is supposed to look like whatsoever. So we relied on the individual that purchased this piece a lot for the design elements, the size of the continents, really what he was looking for. I'm really happy with how it turned out and I cannot wait for it to get to its forever home. So there's actually a lot that goes into making the maps. We were working off of really 4 main maps and I'll show them here. There are 4 different maps that come from throughout WoW's history, and we kind of settled on a mixture of all 4 of them. So every time I work on a map, I start out in the iPad because it's a very easy way for me to draw out exactly what needs to be made. I use an app called Sketchbook. It's a very simple app that lets me do multiple layers and export as a Photoshop document once I'm done with it and maintain those layers. It also allows me to use the Apple Pencil, which I feel is way more natural for me to use rather than actually drawing it out inside of the computer. We went through a couple different iterations of what it would look like. Some larger icons in the corners as well as details within the water. We came together and decided this was maybe a little too busy, so we tried to simplify it a bit and make the 2 main continents a little bit bigger. We reviewed then where we wanted things on the map to be located. So I did move some continents around and scooted over some pieces to make them fit a little bit nicer within the whole overall context. Then we had a map that we were a little bit more happy with, especially size-wise. I really wanted to try to capture exactly what he wanted, so we leaned a lot towards what his preferences were. The last change that we made was to the border sections. The border seemed a little thick, a little too busy. So this is the final drawing I ended up sending to the laser. The files, when they get sent to the laser, they look like this. I try to organize them from lowest panel to highest panel, so there's always a big square. That big square is obviously the back panel. It's usually made out of MDF. On top of that will always be a resin frame with land masses. So when I pour the resin, it won't escape out the edges. This area right here allows for me to use it as a puzzle piecing effect to make sure the continents get aligned perfectly and glued down where they need to be glued down at. Then we have the acrylic piece, and I always allow the option of having a reversed acrylic or a forward-facing acrylic. And what that really means is with a reverse acrylic, it engraves backwards. And it does this because then when you put it down and you glue it in place, it will look more like a solid glass surface because the engraving's on the other side. If we were to engrave it forwards, like this, where everything is right side up, you'll see those engraved lines on the final piece and it won't be as clean as it could be. I personally prefer engraving in reverse, but there's nothing wrong with just doing the forward-facing engrave. The final piece is the veneer pieces. So I have all the side panels as well as the corners and the compass and the world detail. So all of these will get engraved in the black, scored in the blue, cut in the red. And that's the same for everything. Anything that's in black will get engraved, anything that's cut will be red, and anything that's blue will be scored. For the Glowforge, you don't really have a set color path that you have to follow for engrave, score, cut. The Glowforge itself just takes color groupings and lets you decide what you want to do with them all together. So if you make everything one color, you're going to have to assign everything with that color the same job. When I have score, cut, engrave, I try to make all of the engraves black, all of the cuts red, and all the scores blue. It's just something that I've thought of that works in my brain, but for you it can be something completely different. So this then will get sent to the laser cutter and then we will start assembling it.